Hello and a very warm welcome to Sport for Business, where we come to you today from the studios in KPMG with a very special announcement. The Irish Women's Open is taking place at Dromoland Castle in the last weekend of September, and today it has been announced that KPMG is to become the title sponsor for an initial period of 3 years. It's very exciting. It taps into the fact that this is the beginning of a wonderful decade of golf here in Ireland, and also to the KPMG investment and involvement in women's sport, which dates back to its presence as a senior partner within the 20 by 20 initiative from a couple of years back, and also the partnership it has struck up with Leona Maguire, with Rachel Blackmore, and with the Dublin ladies football team. So it's a marriage that looks as though it was made in heaven. I'm joined now by Barry O'Connell, who is a partner in KPMG. Barry, can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of where this partnership has come from?
Well, Rob, as you said, we're very excited about the announcement today. It's great news for us to be associated with the Women's Irish Open in Dromoland for the next 3 years. When you look back over the last while, we have been involved in women in sport, with the Leona Maguire partnership, with Rachel Blackmore on the horse racing side, on the Dublin ladies Gaelic footballers. And then when you look at golf, internationally, we've done a lot of things in golf, including sponsorship of the US ladies PGA only last weekend. And we've done that for a number of years. So when the opportunity came that, golf were getting back behind a ladies tournament in Ireland for the first time in 10 years, that was attractive to us in terms of our involvement in women's sport and golf. And that got us pretty excited pretty quickly. And we were delighted to be able to put this together working with the broader team.
It is great from an internal perspective almost that it aligns so closely with KPMG on a global level, because we have just seen the KPMG WPGA Championship over in the United States. Wonderful tournament at the weekend, wonderful prize money as well. So the prize purse was up to 9 million, 1.35 million to the winner, 1.75 million was the figure that was handed over to the men's US Open Championship. So that differential is coming down, and that's obviously a key thing for you as an organisation to be seen as being very much at the front of.
No, and it's great to see progress on that front, right? And it's probably long overdue. And it's great we've been able to do that at the international level at the women's USPGA. That's important to us, right? That there's a level playing pitch, whether it's, men or boys playing sport, that doesn't matter. It's about the right sport, and we're getting behind it. And it's exciting to see the likes of Leona, who we partner with, and see my own boys getting excited to see how successful she is on the international stage, in the top 20 in the world now, which is fantastic.
It's 10 years since the Irish Women's Open was actually staged here, which is far too long, but it's kind of hard to imagine what it would have been like 10 years ago to think of where women's sport has gotten to now, with the ambassadors that we have, the wonderful performances that are being done, the women's soccer team, the rugby, everything has just sort of grown and begun to snowball as well. Is golf in a real position to benefit from that as well, particularly with Leona and Stephanie and so many of the other young players coming through?
Yeah, we believe so, right? And we think if you look at Ireland's position in golf, in terms of our mark on the world stage and the players, both in the men's and ladies game, and the mark they're making, it's really encouraging. And the success we've had. It's also very useful, though, for how Ireland markets itself from a tourism perspective, and what that shows the best of Ireland, and we're really excited about what Dromoland's going to be like, County Clare in September, and showing that off to the world to have this event back after 10 years. It's too long that it hasn't happened. There was an opportunity in a slot, and it's great to see people get behind it now. And we're very committed, this year and for the next 3 years, to make sure that it's a success for everyone involved. And promoting women's golf at that level on this island is something really important for us all. I think aligns with our own business interests as well as our sponsorship interests.
Well, I think it's going to be wonderful for the crowds. Dromoland is going to look fabulous. We can't guarantee the sunshine, but a photographer once told me that even the rain can help to look old buildings look even better. So we're just natural optimists. But thank you very much, Barry, for taking the time out, and thank you very much to KPMG for getting involved in it. I'm joined now by John Long. John is the Managing Director of Onside Sponsorship in the UK and Ireland. John, it's wonderful to have a really top-class event coming back to Ireland after 10 years. Really wonderful to have a AAA sponsor like KPMG on board as well. In the context of the Irish sponsorship market, how important is that?
I think this is a big deal, Rob. I think that if you look at both the tournament coming back and the sponsor coming in from the very beginning there, that's a really positive message to the market. And it's a validation of some of the trends that we've seen in the market. We've seen people through our on-site sponsorship industry monitor talking about how important women's sport is to them and how they want to invest in women's sport. But this will be one of the biggest deals in women's sport in the Irish market that we've seen so far.
That's fantastic, and that's in a burgeoning market as well. So we're looking at the figures. There is an increased appetite to get involved with women's sport. There is a real sense that it's where the value lies and where the opportunity lies. And it's great to be able to bring back an event that was last held 10 years ago and to have it, sort of already created there with a heritage that hasn't been around for a while. Is it important in terms of establishing a sponsorship and a new event to actually have that heritage? Because coming at it into a new event, it's always going to be a bit of a challenge to actually sort of get it onto people's agenda, get it onto people's calendars. How hard is that going to be now with the Women's Open?
Look, I think golf is in a good place in Ireland. If you look at the sport generally, you've had a major sponsor come into the Men's Irish Open as well. You've got very good ticket sales for that event, for the Pro-Am that follows immediately after it. So there's a lot of enthusiasm for golf in the market amongst public and amongst sponsors. When we surveyed the industry at the start of 2022, we found that there are lots of people considering new sponsorships, more than we'd seen for a number of years, and very few dropping out. But when they talked about the biggest new opportunities in sport, the top three were women's sport, esports, and golf. And okay, there's not an esports element to this, but to bring together two of those top three elements into one deal feels like a really, really good thing. And as you say, with that heritage, with the fantastic course that you've got there and the number of different opportunities you have to take it around the country as well in the years ahead, I think it's a really, really exciting opportunity that can be established this year or re-established this year, but then also built on over the years ahead.
You work closely with a lot of the brands getting involved in sponsorship. How important is the alignment that KPMG obviously has between not only the women's sports side of it, as we were discussing with Barry, but also on the golf side, sort of at a global level? We've just seen over the last weekend about the KPMG sponsored WPGA Championship over in Colonial, and the sense that this is an organisation that knows what it's doing in this area. Is that important?
Yeah, and we're lucky to work with organisations like KPMG as they consider their sponsorships. And there's no doubt that understanding how this fits with the brand and where the brand wants to go, it is really important, not just from a public messaging point of view, but also inside the business as well. What does the business stand for? How does it represent itself in relation to its current employees, future employees? How does it differentiate itself from its competitors with that audience as well as with the customer base? And one thing we've seen in our ongoing annual research is a gradual rise in some of the factors and reasons for brands getting involved in sponsorship generally. And this sponsorship really seems to fit that as well. So we've seen a slight decline in the number of brands that are getting into sponsorship for awareness reasons. It's still an important part of a sponsorship, right? People are aware of your brand and the association. But there's been a growth of some of the more brand rebuilding, brand positioning metrics that we ask about within there. And also what we've seen, particularly over the last 2 or 3 years, is growth around the CSR, the demonstrating the diversity and inclusion of a brand, and some of those factors that haven't historically necessarily been associated with sponsorship, but now sponsorship is being used to achieve those wider business objectives and that brand purpose approach as well.
Well, it promises to be a wonderful occasion, the 22nd to the 25th of September, down in the magnificent surroundings of Dromoland Castle. It's been a pleasure to be here in the studios at KPMG to bring you this breaking news today. Our thanks to Barry O'Connell, the partner in KPMG, and to John Long, Managing Director of Onside. And there will be plenty more of this over the course of the coming months.